Hey everyone, welcome to the LCC. To the Commissioners Clubhouse on the LCC Network. We're your hosts Patrick and Jameson here for Thanksgiving week. We got a great show for you, like always. What's going on, Jameson?
Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm a little sniffly. I've got allergies and stuff going on, so
Got the Thanksgiving sniffles.
this Thanksgiving, you're gonna hear a lot of that in the episode, so just forgive me. But yeah, I'm excited. We've got we don't have any start sit-ems or anything. This is the last week of the regular season interconference play, so we've got what we learned. So a couple of headlines over the last few weeks in the season, and then we've got playoff projections. We're gonna go through and talk about what we've posted on the message board earlier this week, and then of course our week 12 preview for interconference play. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But are you ready to jump into this thing, Pat?
I'm pumped, man. I'm ready for this new segment. We got what we learned. I know you did a lot of work on this, and I pretty much agree with everything you've got here. But we can jump into that if you're ready. If you're ready to kick it in.
Yeah. So I put a couple headlines in here of things that I noticed over the last few weeks. If we had more time, we could do a lot more. Maybe we can add this, through the playoffs and stuff. But the first one I've got here is that Cody is vulnerable. That's kind of the first headline, something I learned. He lost 2 straight games to end conference play, and they weren't games that he scored a lot of points and lost. They were just games that overall just looked pretty ugly on his part. He still hasn't clinched his division going into week 12 of the regular season. And it's kind of making me wonder if he's still the favorite in the conference. I mean, Mufali looks good. Jordan's kind of coming on strong here at the end of the season. Hunter's already got nine wins and took the first seed so far. So I mean, we're definitely we're not seeing the same Cody we saw through the first 9 weeks of the season, where it was 8-1 or 7-1, whatever it was, kind of going in.
Yeah.
And he didn't get off to a particularly strong start against Kyle. So I mean, there's still the possibility that he loses week 12 without having Todd Gurley and a couple of the weapons there. So, I mean, what are you thinking about Cody and his chances in the conference?
Well, it's funny. I don't think it says much about the strength of Cody's team. I still think strength-wise, he's probably one of the best teams in the league. What it comes down to is there's a select few teams in the Top Shotters Conference that have really stepped up and started to challenge him. Jordan last week had one of his best weeks, if not his best week of the season against Cody, in a epic, upset. But then you look at a team like Hunter of Champions, who's been pretty good this year. You look at a team like Mufasi Moneymakers, Mufali. He's been on fire all season long. I mean, I could see it's crazy. Like, I really thought, even up until last week, that Cody would have a pretty easy path to the Little Critter Bowl, almost like a cupcake walk. But it doesn't look like that anymore. Look at some of these other teams; they could possibly dethrone him in that divisional round of the playoffs, depending on kind of, which we'll dive more into the playoff projections in a little bit. But I think it just says more about the other teams in that conference now that are starting to step up and emerge as contenders, and it's kind of put Cody in an awkward place. So now he's got to try to really get back to where he was, because points wise, he's still scoring a ton of points. I mean, consistently, week after week after week, I feel like. But you were saying it earlier. I mean, dude, there's just some teams in that conference now that can match him. Granted, he's not scoring 360, but he's still scoring 290, 300, that range, which is still good enough most weeks to win you ball games.
Yeah, no, it's definitely still solid. I think.
I mean, his average is still 305 for the season each week.
Yeah, and it's been a little bit of bad luck the last 2 weeks, but I mean, a little bit of underperforming, I think, overall. But like you said, I think a lot of it has to do with the contenders that are stepping up. I mean, if he finds himself in that wild card spot instead of in the division spot, if Mufali were to take the division, I mean, that's another game you have to win, though. I mean, that makes it, regardless of what team you are, I mean, having to win another game just makes it all that more difficult. So, I mean, you went from this juggernaut that we thought was kind of invincible to the second seed and may not even clinch the division this week, may end up as a wild card team. So it's really interesting how quickly those things can change.
and this is the first time. Maybe I haven't followed the power rankings as closely for the top shotters, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time Mafali had jumped Cody in the power rankings.
Did he? Has he jumped him?
Yeah, he did, and it's kind of interesting. And in terms of, I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there was a week where someone was ahead of Cody, but from my understanding, ever since after week 1, Cody's been up there at number 1 the whole time.
Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I gotta look at that then. That's interesting.
And the thing is, here's the crazy thing: efficiency wise, Cody's got 89.9%. Mafali's at 85.7%. But the bench points is what's crazy. Mafali has 1,700 points just on his bench. Cody's got 1,300. That just shows there's a lot of potential there. If Mafali can just get the right guys in every week, there's no reason at all that he couldn't possibly upset Cody in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I think that's kind of what this segment's about. Like, he's definitely not this ironclad, like locked and loaded type of thing that I think we all believed, going into the last few weeks. So that's gonna be something to look at. I'm pretty sure that all of his league mates there on that conference are happy to hear this segment.
Yeah.
Another one I had here was Tyler. He suffers another late season collapse. So this is about 4 seasons in a row. Yeah, I don't know if I had a bad soundbite, I would play that one. Wait, I do have one on.
Please not do anything awful for 5 seconds.
Yeah, so that's the closest we got. I need to put that kind of sound into the womp womp. Yeah, so I don't know, 4 years straight, I think that Tyler's done this. Eliminated from playoff contention because he lost 3 of his last 4. And his only win coming against Bryson during that span, the last 4 weeks. Hasn't had a waiver wire pick since week 2 of the year when he picked TJ Yeldon when Leonard Fournette went down. And he's a team that's going to have to figure out how to get over that late season hump in order to have a winning season. I mean, this is year in and year out. He was 4-2, I think, going into week 7 or something like that, 5-2, and just completely collapsed. So, not much more to say about that other than it happened again.
Oh, and here's the thing: there's 4 games according to the power rankings on our league's website. There are 4 games he could have won if he would have set the right lineup. Can you imagine that right now? We're looking at a team that's just trying to be 500 at the end of the year. If he would have won those 4 games, we're talking about a first round bye and possibly beating you for the division. I mean, it's really comes down to his efficiency too. As much as him not being active on the waiver wire, his efficiency is only 81%, one of the lowest efficiencies in the entire league, and in fact, it's actually the lowest in our entire conference. So
wow, lower than some of the teams that have worse records.
Yeah, and the only team, in fact, there's only 2 other teams in the entire league that have lower efficiency than Tyler, and hang on, let me make sure I say this right. It's Charles, the third leg, and the Vegetarians, which is Storm.
And Storm's lost, 5 of the last 6? Yeah. Something like that? Yeah. So that's not company that you want to be in.
Yeah, and Bryson has a higher efficiency than Tyler, and this is the first time Bryson's ever played fantasy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not good at all. That is not good at all. I mean, we joked about it, all season long. I mean, I even talked to Tyler about it on the side, and it still happened, So, I mean, I don't know what else we can do other than, work the waiver wire. Not a single pick since going into week 2, 1 pick all season long. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to see where that falls apart because you're not going to win your division or the league at the draft. You never are. A lot of times you end up with 30 to 40, maybe 50% turnover off your team. And if you're not changing that out, you're not going to have a lot of success. So I thought that was another interesting headline. And then finally, the Elite 12 South, which is your conference, your division, is what we thought it was. When we did I went and looked at the league article and we did the analysis. We had all you guys going at least 6-6 or 7-5. That was the worst for all of you guys. And that's what's happened. So all 3 of you guys have clinched playoff spots. All 3 of you can still win the division, which is the only division where this is possible in the entire league. And maybe for the first time ever, I'm not sure. Well, no, that's not true. Cameron's division all of them can still win the division, but not all three of them can get in the playoffs.
Right.
So this is
right.
the only one where both of those things are true. And each team has split with each other. So points 4 is going to be the ultimate tiebreaker. No one owns tiebreakers over anybody. So it's a very, very interesting division, in my opinion. And I mean, your dad could go from the 6th seed to the 2 seed and get a bye, literally, depending on how this turns out, or you or Isaac. So we'll talk a little more about that when we do the playoff projections. But I thought that was interesting, and the fact that we nailed this analysis from the preseason. We predicted this was competitive, and that's what it ended up being. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
No, it's there's and this division has really historically always been really competitive. Whenever both me and my dad in the same division, and since Isaac joined, it's made it even more competitive.
Yeah.
I know my dad hasn't been relevant in a number of years, but I want to say I could be wrong about this. I want to say if Isaac wins, this will be the first time anyone's won back-to-back divisional titles in the same division as me and my dad since probably like 2012 to 2013 when I won back-to-back. I mean, it's been a while, so it says something if Isaac is able to clinch, which it looks like he probably will. Assuming nothing goes terribly wrong for him this coming weekend.
Yeah.
I feel pretty. It's gonna be a tight race though. And I could easily see one of the three of us. I guarantee you, one of the three of us at least will be in the conference championship.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, dude, if it's 2 out of the 3. As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah.
Like,
I think just statistically, I think one of you almost has to be. I mean, one of you guys are going to probably face whoever wins your division
theoretically, it's possible that Jade or Mike, whoever wins that division, they could technically upset either my dad or myself in the wild card and then go in and upset Isaac. I doubt that's going to happen. It's possible. Wouldn't rule it out. As the craziest things have happened this season, out of all of them, I mean, it's definitely plausible. But
no, yeah, you're right. You guys could not only duke it out in the regular season, but all the way through the playoffs.
Yeah.
For seeding and advancement and stuff. So, but yeah, I just thought that was a really interesting division. It's really crazy how it came down to week 12 for you guys, kind of like we thought it was going to. So I like that a lot. I definitely want to add more headlines next week as we jump into our first, playoff week, especially since I'll be a little more time to do this since I won't be setting lineups and stuff. So yeah. Anyway. We'll jump into our next segment here, playoff projections. I just wanted to kind of break down what we put on the message board earlier this week to clarify some things. I saw there were some questions. People were, how is this possible? Why does this guy have to win? Those types of things. So do you have that in front of you, Patrick?
Yeah. Actually, I do have it in front of me. I'm on our website right now.
Oh, okay.
Where do you want to start off? You want to start with Elite 12 or Top Shotters?
Yeah, we'll go to the Elite 12. We'll just kind of go straight down like we have in other formats. So I've clinched the number 1 seed. Not a lot to talk about there. That was last week. Regardless of how my matchup with Jordan goes, although I do want to beat him just for rivalry's sake, since he's always beaten me. I've never beat him once. But we'll kind of see how that turns out. The current number 2 is Isaac. He has jumped you after his win last week and your loss, so he is in the number 2 spot. He can win his division simply by winning, or if you and your dad lose, or if all of you tie and then he beats you in points 4. And he currently has a lead of about 180 or something like that, 140 points. Yeah. So I mean, it's gonna be tough to beat him in points 4. So you definitely don't want.
That's probably not gonna happen yet.
Yeah, not gonna happen,
especially at the rate things are going.
Exactly. I mean, if you beat him in points 4, what essentially would have happened was you would have probably won. You would have had to score like 400, and he would have had to score like 100. So he probably would have lost anyway. So points 4
exactly
not matter. So,
and not only that, but me starting a broken receiver Thursday night game really kind of screwed me over. So definitely not going to score 400 at this point.
No, yeah,
They get a big goose egg from.
I saw the Trayvon Smith.
Oh man, dude, I was livid when I saw that. Because pretty much all day, Maria and I had been driving around. Like I wasn't even really looking at my phone, and it was probably the game. If it wasn't over, it was in the final minutes of the game, of the Saints game. And I was like, oh man, I want to go look at my score. And I was like, I've got 28. That's weird because I had 2 players playing. So I click, and dude, he didn't even play. I was so mad. Like I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's
like,
never a good feeling when you see.
Yeah.
You should have at least 50. You're like, why does it say 16? Like it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, and the thing that makes me mad is all week he's been saying, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna play. I feel good about it. No reason I shouldn't play." And here he doesn't play.
He was declared active, wasn't he? Like up the first hour and a half, because they have to declare active is an hour and a half early. He was declared active, so I guess he was active, but just didn't actually get on the field, which is weird.
I don't know.
Normally that wouldn't happen.
It just, oh man, it definitely ruined my. I wouldn't say ruined my night, but still, just kind of irritated me.
Yeah, I'm sure Isaac was happy to see that, though. He didn't say anything, but I'm sure he was secretly happy to see that.
Yeah.
So he's in the number 2 spot, which means that he would get a bye if he finishes there, which means neither him nor I would be playing in week 13. Number 3 seed is Billy. So this is an insane, weird scenario for this division lead. So Billy has to win, or Peyton can lose in order for Billy to win the division. We'll talk a little bit more about Cameron when we get down to him and why it's weird. Billy is eliminated from the wild card contention, so no one in that division can take a wild card spot. It's basically division or you're out, or you go home. Billy, he came out really strong against Kevin. We'll talk about that when we do the week 12 stuff. But it's looking good for him right now, but he would be playing the 6th seed. Jade is our current number 4. He can win his division with a win or a Mike loss. So they cannot tie, because if they tie, Jade will win the division. So Jade's in a really good spot there, but just like Billy, cannot take a wild card spot because his record is nowhere near good enough. And he would be playing the 5th seed, which is you currently.
Yep.
So you can actually win for now. We'll see what happens. You can win the division with a win and an Isaac and John loss, or if you tie all of them and then lead them in points for, which is really unlikely. Right. I don't mean to be a downer, but pretty unlikely to lead them in points for. You can still win the division. On the plus side, you have clinched a wild card spot, so you are in the playoffs.
Here we go.
In the dance, my friend.
That's right.
As a number 5,
this is the time to get all of the screw ups out of the system before it really starts to matter.
Exactly. This is
I guess if I had to choose to lose to Michael here in week 12 in an embarrassing upset, or losing the playoffs to Billy or Jade, or I guess Cameron or Peyton, I'd much rather lose to Michael right now, and just, even if it meant me getting blown out, as long as I win the playoff game, that's all that matters.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
I'll take a loss now if it means a win later.
Yep, exactly. And it's funny you say that, because I clinched a couple weeks ago, but I've been really paying attention the last few weeks, last week and this week and next week, to kind of get a feel for my team, to make sure that week 14 I'm at optimal efficiency and everything, just trying to get every sort of detail that I can out of my team. So even if you're in that good spot, you don't want to slow down, you want to keep pushing. And then, so you would be playing Jade in the first round. Honestly, though, that's not a bad first round matchup. Jade's been one of the weaker teams, points for, just all the way around. Not a team that I would be terribly afraid of if I were to face him in the first round. So at least you got that going if you were to stay.
I would definitely like to play Jade, because I could get revenge from the regular season game that I lost to him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so that would be kind of nice, but right now I'm just trying to get through this week, unfortunately. So.
And then the 6th seed, we've got your dad, John. He can clinch the division with a win and an Isaac or Patrick loss, or if the same thing, tie and lead in points for, which is really unlikely, because I think he's 400 points behind Isaac right now. And there's just no way on God's green earth that all of you win and John catches Isaac in points for
Yeah.
without having the game of a century. But on the plus side, just like you, he has clinched a wild card spot. So all of our spots besides Billy and Jade are clinched. Now it's just about seeding for the most part.
Yeah, mostly seeding at this point. Yeah.
And then on the bubble, we've got Cameron. Cameron can still win the division if he wins and Billy loses and Peyton wins and he leads them all in points for. So what he needs to happen is he needs the entire division to tie 6-6, and then he needs to beat them all in points for. The reason for that is he beat Peyton twice, Peyton beat Billy twice, and Billy beat Cameron twice. So they've all beaten each other in like a circle. So there are no tiebreakers if they all tie evenly. Now, if Peyton loses and Cameron wins and ties Billy, Billy beats him because of their tiebreakers. So Cameron really needs Peyton to win as well. It's a really weird situation, but it makes it a lot of fun for everyone that's not Cameron, Billy, or Peyton to watch. So that's going to be interesting. Billy got off to a hot start again. We'll talk about that later.
That might be the most complicated scenario we've ever had. Like for someone to get in the playoffs. I mean, he's literally has to be tied, has to be in points for. I mean, the chances of them all ending up in the same record is pretty slim, I would imagine, considering some of the matchups.
Yep.
And then 2, on top of that, the chances of him then having to surpass him in points for, which I mean that's definitely not out of the realm of possibility, but still, just for all of that to happen the same week would be crazy.
Yeah, the easiest thing here is to lead them in points for, because Cameron's only not far behind Billy. But to have all that happen in sequence, him win, Billy lose, Peyton win, and lead, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. He has been eliminated from wild card contention because all the spots in the wild card are taken, so he can't get in there. And then the next one out, we'll skip Mike real quick and talk about Peyton since he's not in the same division. Peyton can still win it. If he wins and Billy loses and Cameron loses, Peyton can still win the division. Or the same thing, they all tie and he leads in points for. But that's really unlikely because he's way behind. He's like 250 or something like that behind Billy. So that's not likely. So he really wants that Cameron loss. That will really help push Peyton into that spot. But he is eliminated from wild card contention. And then finally, Mike, he can actually still win his division if he wins and Jade loses. So basically just the opposite scenario of Jade. And he has been eliminated from wild card contention. So he cannot get in other than the 4 seed. That is his best situation, is the 4 seed. His only situation is the 4 seed or out. So teams that have been out in our conference, we've got Tyler, Kyle, and Bryson. Bryson is the locked-in number 1 pick. Tyler was eliminated last week with a loss to I don't remember who he lost to.
Was it you?
No,
was it not you?
It wasn't me. Peyton. He lost to Peyton. Tyler lost to Peyton.
Okay.
And a close one. He scored over 300 and still lost. I know he wasn't happy about that. And he has been eliminated. So he's a Visa Card Bowl contender. Woohoo! For him.
Yeah. I think, I could be wrong about this. I think Kyle, I know Bryson definitely locked up a McDonald's Bowl appearance, but I think Kyle did too. I think they're both going to be playing in essentially the toilet bowl of our conference for a small McDonald's gift card they can get themselves a Happy Meal with.
There you go.
Tyler, Peyton, more than likely looking at the Pizza Hut Bowl there, and then the Visa Card Bowl, Cameron and Mike. What?
Oh, no, it was your dad and Tyler last year.
Yeah.
For the Pizza Hut.
Peyton played the McDonald's Bowl last year. So,
oh, that's right.
Yeah, okay. He's moved up. He's moved up in the world, you know?
That's right.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Let's do, let's see.
So now we're going to do the top shotters playoff projections.
Yeah, I talked so much through that one. Do you want to run through some of these real quick? Okay.
For sure. I'm pulling it up as we speak. So, yeah, to start it off, first seed, actually, this is pretty crazy. The current playoff scenario is Hunter in the first seed, which we knew was possible, but I don't think we really thought he was going to surpass Cody, but it's happened at the moment. Hunter's the first seed. He's kind of pretty much clinched that bye week already. He's punched himself that ticket in. So that'll be interesting to see if Hunter is somehow able to lose this week and then Cody's able to win. Obviously, that would flip-flop the scenario. Right now, Cody's at the second seed. He can win. He still has not won his division. That is mind-blowing. He can win his division by winning this week against Kyle. Should be able to do. Or a Mafali loss, or tie and lead in points for. If I'm Cody, I'm just trying to win this thing because that's the easiest way of doing this. I would not want it to come down to points for or relying on Mafali to lose because I really think more than likely Cody should be able to win this and lock up that second seed, possibly even a first seed, depending on what happens to Hunter. But that'll be an interesting scenario to watch. Not necessarily Cody's matchup this week, but just where he ends up in the race.
Yeah. Yep.
The third seed, and this is crazy because so much could happen between this third and fourth seed this week. Daquan still has not won his division, obviously, because of Jordan's win last week. But he can win the division by just winning against Isaac, which is a very tough matchup right now. It's not looking too great for Daquan at the moment.
Nope.
Or Jordan lose, or tie and lead in points for. Again, just with the way Jordan's been playing, I wouldn't be totally relying on that and Jordan loss, even though he's playing you, Jameson. I think that's going to be a pretty close matchup between both of you. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But again, if this happens, I'm sorry, Daquan still hasn't really locked up a wild card spot either. The way he can secure a wild card spot, even if he doesn't win the division, is by winning or a Colby loss. Colby right now is playing Cameron. That's an interesting game to watch for sure because there are playoff implications there.
Yeah.
And there's a history there between both teams. Fourth seed, this is an interesting one. Abortion Clinic we have, who still not won his division. He has win the division or bust. Essentially, is the scenario that David is in right now. He's in a pretty weak division with Storm, but the way he can secure the division and get in the playoffs is by winning, or Storm losing, or tying record and leading points for. Which we're seeing now. This is kind of a common theme in the Top Shot of playoff race. Is if you're going to tie because so many teams have kind of split with each other. They really have to lead in points for. We'll see. We'll see what happens with David this week. It'll be interesting though after this long stretch of like this constant losing by Storm the past couple of weeks. If Storm's able to win and David's able to lose, that'll be really crazy. The fact that Storm's able to still get into the playoffs with the fourth seed, which. Right now, the fifth seed that can lose his fifth seed is Mafali, who could go from the fifth seed all the way up to. Could he still get the first seed technically, Jameson?
Mafali?
Yeah.
I would have to look if Hunter loses and Cody, if he takes the division, that would bump Cody the wild card, and if Hunter loses, their record would be tied. So it depends on who owns that tiebreaker. If they've played each other, it would be whoever won that game. If they haven't, it would be points for. So I don't know if they've played each other or not. If they're listening, I'm sure they could figure that out and decide. But Mafali would beat Hunter in points for more likely than not.
Yeah.
So if they haven't played, Mafali would be in a good spot.
It'll be so. Essentially, what you're seeing though is theoretically, Mafali can go from the fifth seed, having to play against David in the playoffs, to having a first round bye, being a divisional winner, and surpassing Cody, possibly even Hunter, which obviously we don't know off the top of our heads, but I'm sure both of those owners can figure that one out on their own. But Mafali's already clinched a wild card spot, which we've known for a while. We've known for a while that was probably going to happen anyways before he actually did it. So kudos to Mafala. He's sitting in there in a really good spot right now, regardless if he wins, loses, or whatever Cody does. He's already punched his ticket in, and he can rest a little bit easier this weekend knowing that. And the 6th seed right now, which I've been saying it since week 6, that Jordan is a team to watch out for, especially if you're Daquan, because he has been all season long nipping at his heels to get in. Right now, he's at the 6th seed. He hasn't secured anything, though. Division, he can clinch the division by winning and Daquan losing, which is definitely possible, or tie and lead in points for.
Yes.
So that's essentially
the head-to-head this season.
Right. They split. And if you kind of look at the streak that both teams are on, Daquan has been, the later half of the season, has been struggling to say the least. Although he's he's projected right now at the 3rd seed, and Jordan has been really strong the past couple of weeks, I felt like. So, again, really interesting between you and Jordan. You've already kind of secured your ticket for the 1st seed. You already got a playoff berth. Division's already wrapped up. So this game doesn't mean as much to you as it does for Jordan, but still, which we'll talk about this. Oh, for sure. And I'm going to talk more about that here in a little bit after we get through the projections. But on the bubble teams, so believe it or not, we still have 2 teams that are in the playoff hunt, which we've kind of alluded to earlier. We've got Colby, who essentially he's already been eliminated from the division, officially eliminated from that, but he can still get in the wild card by winning and Jordan losing. With Jordan's playing you, that's a tough matchup. I could foresee that happening. Yeah. But he's also got a tough matchup against Cameron this week. Really interesting how the Thanksgiving games really kind of shape that game up to where it's heading right now into the weekend. But then right behind him, you also have Storm, who's also in the bubble, who can still win his division, like we said earlier, by winning and David losing and leading in points for. But he has already mathematically been eliminated from the wild card, which we've known for a little while now that's happened. So Storm, realistically, this is a big game for him, these non-conference games. And the past 2 years now, we've seen it. Week 12, despite it being non-conference games, you'd think it may not mean as much. It actually means a lot to a number of teams this week. And not only that, for bragging rights. There's always been trash talking between both of our conferences. Obviously, they have more championships than we do. I think they've got us slightly in the lead for head-to-head record against them. I don't know what the exact numbers are for that, but I'm pretty sure they've got us probably by maybe 3 games or so, 3 to 4 games probably. I'd have to dig a little bit deeper into that, but still, Week 12 is a huge matchup. I could kind of consider it as a non-conference rivalry week, but I'm interested to see kind of how these games shape up for Colby and Storm, even though they're not in our conference. Teams that have been eliminated: Kevin, who was nominated as one of the toilet teams of the year. You also have Matt, who's been eliminated. Charles, another toilet team. Michael, another toilet team. Although, with that said, I could easily see Michael winning at this point against me because of the costly error that I made with starting a injured receiver. Yeah. So that kind of puts me in a hole. Haven't totally written myself out yet, because I know I've got some guys that can still put up a lot of points. But Michael has some guys too, which we'll get into a little bit with the matchups when we go into that. But although Michael's been eliminated, he's in a good spot right now. He's projected to have the first pick in the playoffs. Charles with the second, Matt with the third, Kevin with the fourth. So, hey, Michael, if you just want to secure that first-round pick, man, go ahead and take this loss for me. I'd really appreciate that.
Go ahead and throw the week 12.
Yeah, go ahead and throw this one for me. Oh man! And as we've seen, the first-round pick in the top shot of this conference means a lot. Look at Daquan; he's gone from worst to possibly first in his division. So we're going to see how that kind of plays out. But yeah, that sums up the top shot's playoff projections for the week. So I guess now we can kind of move on to the Week 12 previews, and the Turkey Bowl game of the week.
Yeah, because I see the show doc. I don't see the name in there yet, so I was going to
That's
ask
right.
you, who do we have for the Turkey Bowl game of the week?
It's actually I put it up on the website, I think yesterday or maybe the day before. I think it was yesterday or the night before Thanksgiving. But the Turkey Bowl game of the week is actually yourself versus Jordan, which may surprise some people because you've already locked up the division. But because of the fact that you've never, ever, ever have beaten Jordan in the playoffs or the regular season.
All right.
I think
you don't have to say ever like
ever,
ever
ever
in history because you suck.
No, but it's really going to be interesting. Which I don't know if you remember this. I want to say it may have been the 2014 season or 2015 season where it was me. I think it was me, you, Jordan. We're all in the same conference, and someone else. It was that year we had like 4 teams in each division, which is kind of odd for our fantasy league. Surprisingly, I'm pulling that up now. I'm really curious now.
It must have been 2015 when it was me, you, Jordan, and Tyler. That was the year I traded.
Okay, never mind. This was 2015 when it was me, you, my dad, Tyler, in the same division. Jordan wasn't in your division. I'm wrong about that. But anyways, you guys have met each other in the postseason before. So there's a little bit of a history between you guys. I know you said it was what year?
2014. He beat me in my first ever playoff appearance.
That's right. It was 2014. It was in the wild card. Jordan ended up winning that pretty easily, 202 to 147. In fact, there's only been one close game between you guys. It was actually your first year in the league, Jameson, 2013, week 9. Jordan barely won 117 to 116. So that's other than that, they've all been 50-point spreads for the most part to even 70-point spreads in one week.
Oh my god!
But no, there's a history between you guys that's been a little lopsided. But because of the fact it's kind of on the other end now, you're at probably the peak of your fantasy career. Jordan, he's definitely doing good. He could easily lock up a playoff spot this week, but there's a lot on the line for him. In terms for you, you're just trying to get revenge. Jordan's just trying to stay alive at this point. So
yeah, I'm hoping I can end it. The projections have him winning by 7 right now, I think. I had a really bad Thursday, but yeah, it's mostly a revenge thing for me. I try to win double digits. I'm definitely having the best fantasy season so far, and I just want to make sure that if I can keep someone out of the playoffs, is what I always like to try to do, just because it's fun, especially against a team I've never beat before. I mean, I love Jordan to death, but I'm coming for you, man. Like, this is not going to be an easy fight. At least I hope not. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would.
But that's cool that it's game of the week. That's cool.
No, that's our Turkey Bowl game of the week, kind of like our Thanksgiving game or whatever. But if I had to pick one between, I would probably give the edge, and no bias here, just because your team's been pretty hot lately, despite Thursday. I feel confident that you should be able to win this in a close game. I definitely don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's probably within 15 points or so.
Well, that's the story of my season.
It is.
6 wins within 17 points.
In fact, dude, there are 5 of your wins, according to the power rankings, could have been losses. It's because the other team just didn't start the right players. Okay. So all of your games have been close for the most part. You're kind of like the cardiac cats.
The cardiac cats of 2015. I really hope that I don't finish like they did, though, or I get all the way to the end and collapse in a pile of dust. But,
well, dude, between you and Eyes of Isaac right now, the first seed, you've got the harder road to the little critter ball. Think about it. You've either got to play, as of now, the winner between my dad and Billy, which I'll get to in a little bit. But my dad, for me personally, is probably the team I fear him the most out of all the 6 teams right now that are projected to get in. I fear him more than any other team. And that may shock some people, but his team, there's so much resemblance to the championship team that he had when he won the Little Curveball, I think, in 2013. Just peaked at the right time at the end of the year, and that's what he's doing right now. It's really peaking, and he's going full throttle into the playoffs. And you also look at the way Kyle's team was last year, how high octane the offense was and really carried him all the way. That's kind of how my dad's team. His defense isn't great. His defense is above average, depending on Clinton Dix. But his offense is just so powerful that it could really carry him all the way, I feel like. But anyways, I'm kind of jumping around right now. I'm not staying on track, but our next game that we're going to cover is Steel Curtain. That is Cody in a rematch of Little Critter Bowl 8 versus Kyle, Game of Jones. Kyle is just trying to finish the season at 5-7, slightly above 500. Cody is trying to secure that bye week in the division. Little Critter Bowl 8, Cody ended up winning 310 to 288, and kind of realistically a little bit closer than I thought it would be. Just because of how loaded Cody's team was and how complete it was compared to Kyle's, whose team was really built on the offense, and it was boom or bust. If the offense didn't play the way it should have, then his team kind of didn't perform. But no, this is a rematch. I know everyone's saying this game is going to be a blowout. I can't believe, why was this even scheduled? No, trust me, Kyle's team, Wild Kyle is, trust me, man, he can score 350 any given week. I could possibly see this being an upset, but Cody's team though is consistently scoring over 300 or around 300. So, say the least, Kyle has to have a really good game. And Cody has to have a subpar game for this to be an upset.
43 points from Julio, 29 points from Danny Trevathan. I mean, 2 guys already played, and he's got 72 points. I mean, he definitely came out swinging, and the projections have him only losing by like 10 or something like that. So
right.
It's going to be close. I mean, Cody wasn't awful, but he definitely didn't come out as strong as he could have. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, Kyle could win this one, and like we talked about earlier, Cody's kind of been a little bit more vulnerable lately. So, but I think Cody definitely wants to win this one to, maintain that to win that division and try to, keep that bye, going into the playoffs. But yeah, so who do we have up next?
Next, we got a game that actually has a lot of history. 2 former champions, one team that is a Hall of Fame owner, the other one was really not that far off from getting there. You've got Jay Terrible Towels, 5-6, trying to punch his ticket in the playoffs and win the division at 6-6. You've got Matt, who's had a pretty bad year at 3-8, who's on a 2-game losing streak at the moment. Jade leads the overall series 5-2. Jade's won the past 3 regular season matchups. They've never played each other in the playoffs. Last time Matt won was week 4 of 2012 when he won 120 to 118 in a very close game.
Oh, wow.
And for those that don't remember, that was Jade's first ever championship that year. So, I'm telling you, there's a lot of history between these 2 teams. They don't really trash talk to each other. So in terms of that, I wouldn't say this game's really much of a rivalry. But again, 2 teams that have a lot of history. In fact, Jade was able to beat Matt during Matt's first ever championship run. He won 224 to 182. So a very low scoring game there. But no, I think this game will be interesting to watch. I think Matt easily has the capability of beating Jade. There's a lot of games Matt could have won this year if there's just a couple mistakes he made up in his lineup. So I wouldn't put it past Matt to pull out an upset here and to really screw Jade into a 5-7 season. Which, the think about it, him making the playoffs at 5-7 could actually happen, which would be crazy.
It's a possibility for sure, and the projections have them within 5 points. That's how close the app is projecting this. So we could definitely see that. But I think it's going to be a very interesting game against former champions. I mean, I love this matchup. Did we do this on purpose, or did this just kind of happen with the schedule?
This one was realistically almost all of the. For the most part, we did the best we could. Most of these non-conference games were intentional. Try to base it off, past matchups, history. These teams have a history with each other. How was their performance last year? Like Cody and Kyle, both conference champions, and just rematch of the
Trying to make them
Bowl.
even and fun to watch and competitive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there were some games that were inevitable. Like that's just kind of a random matchup. For example, Hunter, Cards fan. No real history there, but again, two teams that made the playoffs last year that were really good rookie owners. Look at, Bryson has no history against anyone, so that one was just kind of random. It was funny matchup based off the team names, My Little Girlies and Abortion Clinic. But no, yeah, most of these games were kind of somewhat intentional, the best we could. A lot of it came down to home and away stuff too, so we can only do so much because we were limited to that.
Yeah. Makes sense. We have to be really.
Yeah.
You have to make sure everyone's got the same amount of home and away games. So some teams have to be away, some teams have to be home. So it means some teams can't match up with others because they would have too much of one or the other. Yeah, so it's a delicate thing. But yeah, that's gonna be fun to watch. Who do we have next? You and Michael?
Yeah, that's right. Michael and myself, I have a game, and looks like it actually might be a close one, unfortunately for me. I'm on a 3-game losing streak right now. It's been a pretty rough November, to say the least. Michael, this has been a rough season, to say the least, at 3-8. No history against each other in fantasy, but did go to high school together. Actually, know Michael. This will be, I think it's actually going to be a close game. Like I said, no history though between us. This was just one of those matchups ended up being random because of the home and away, and I could only get so many matchups that were relevant, to say the least. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. Actually, I think it'll be pretty close.
Well, you're projected to win by 17, so it's still.
Oh wow, still 17. Okay.
Yeah. I think at one point it was like 40 something, but having kind of bad Thursday night that you did. But that's gonna be a fun one to watch. Not a lot of history to talk about. However, this other game, I think it has a good bit of history. We've got Colby and Cameron playing.
That's right. This is and this was actually. This was actually considered for the Turkey Bowl game of the week, but because both teams are on the outside looking in at the moment, they could both still get in. Theoretically, they could both still get in. They could both even play each other in Little Critter Bowl, in fact, because I think both teams are good enough. But again, because both teams are looking in, Cameron's at 5-6, a little below 500. He's on a 2-game losing streak. Colby 6-5. He lost last week. He's just trying to finish 500 and get in the playoffs. Oh, no, sorry, not 500. He's trying to finish at 7-5 and get in the playoffs. Colby leads the series at 5-3. They're actually tied, though, in the regular season at 3-3, which obviously means they played each other twice in the postseason, and Colby's won both of them. So in a blast from the past, we're going to go to 2010, and they played each other 3 times that year, believe it or not. Week 3, Colby won 178-133, and then week 4, Cameron won. By the way, James, you probably don't know this, but back then our schedules were god awful. Like there were some teams that I think played each other 4 times in the regular season, like some just crazy stuff because we let ESPN build the schedule. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So it was a chaotic schedule.
That's a mess.
Yeah, that was great. Nothing like what we have now. So, anyways, they split in the regular season. Then they play each other in the first ever Little Critter Bowl. Cameron wasn't even in middle school yet. He was still in elementary school. Colby, maybe he was in 9th grade or something, both like really young in our league. But Colby ended up winning it 149-102 in a beatdown. I know Cameron still remembers that. Michael Vick is what carried Colby that year, carried him into that championship. But then you fast forward to 2015, they played each other twice, and Mr. 300 won both of them, actually, week 9. And then in week 13, the wild card, Colby ended up winning 248 to 142. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. There's so much in line for both teams. I know Cameron wants this really bad, just because he wants to get in the playoffs. He can't stand the fact that this will be his second time missing the playoffs.
Yeah, he doesn't like to hurt that playoff record that he's had going for years. Cameron's projected to win by 15, so it is a very close. Colby didn't get out to the hottest start on Thursday, but it's projected very close, which is actually kind of a common thing among a lot of these matchups, which is really good to see. It means it should be competitive games. But yeah, that's going to be another exciting one to watch. I'm excited for it.
Who do you think is going to win that, by the way?
Oh, gosh. Man, give me Cameron.
Cameron?
Trying to stay alive and win that division title, although I don't think he's going to, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, no, it's good. That part's a stretch, but I think it's very realistic that Cameron can win this game. Colby's team has started to pick things up here recently, but overall, I just think Cameron's had a more consistent year. He's averaging close to 300 a game, I believe. But I feel confident that Cameron can win this game. It's just I don't know if all the other scenarios can play out for him to get in the playoffs. So,
no, but yep. So who do we have up next?
Yeah, next, both of these teams have been in the league forever, but they've only played each other 4 times actually in 9 years, and that is my dad and Storm. They've played each other 4 times. The series is split 2-2. Last time they played was week 9 of 2015. Storm won 214 to 213 in a very close game. It's going to be, and they've actually played each other in playoffs before. In week 13, so the wild card of 2013, my dad won 175 and 107. So we have a rematch of the 2013 wild card. It's going to be interesting because we were just talking about it. Storm is trying to punch his ticket in the division and get the 4th seed in the playoffs. My dad is trying to possibly win the division and get a first-round bye, which is crazy to imagine. We knew his team was going to be good, but we had no idea his team was going to be the way it is right now. Christian McCaffrey is a big part of, why he's performing well, and Cam Newton too. Despite Cam Newton losing close games in real football, he's actually been one of the best fantasy quarterbacks in football. So the Panthers have really carried my dad pretty far this year.
Yeah, McCaffrey's been a monster, and David Johnson really heated up late, in the season. So, he's definitely turned it on the last few weeks.
Yeah, and on a 5-game win streak too. For my dad, that doesn't hurt. And Storm's coming off a win from last week too. That's why he's still in the race for the playoffs. But it's gonna be interesting to see how this one pans out for both teams because there's a lot in line for Storm, and my dad's already punched his ticket in, but he could, like I said, he could win the division for the first time in a while. So I know he'd feel good about that. And by the way, Jay, I haven't told you this, but I was talking to my dad Tuesday. We were on the phone. He's like, yeah, I still remember like yesterday. I think it was like the week 6 podcast. He said, I remember you guys were talking about my game, and Jameson said, yeah, there's really nothing special about this team, so I don't really see them going very far. And he said ever since then, he has not lost a game. So I guess that kind of motivated his players.
Yeah, I've noticed a little bit, and people have made remarks, to me about it over the season, that I'm kind of like this, like, kiss of death, and I know they're a bad way. Like, if I'm like, oh, this team is rocking, they're on fire, they just collapse. Or like a player, or if I just trash a team or trash a player, they just catch on fire. Like Mitch Trubisky has been like literally like QB2 since I railed on him that week. So I don't know. Maybe I should rail on some of my team, like Michael Thomas. You suck ass, and like see if we can get him to like fire up or something. But that's funny that your dad said that though. But no, it's a 1 projection game with your dad over Storm right now in the projection. So it predicts to be very close. So we'll see what happens with this one. But again, I'm excited to watch all these this week. But Who do we got in this next matchup? Is there any history with these two teams?
No, there's actually no history at all fantasy-wise between Daquan and Isaac. Really kind of, I don't want to say polar opposite seasons, but Isaac's on a 3-game win streak. Daquan's on a 3-game losing streak. Isaac 7-4, Daquan 6-5. One team's already punched their ticket in. That's Isaac. Daquan's just trying to stay alive and get in, and keep his spot in the playoff race. You know, I mean, they know each other really well. I mean, went to Lander together. Obviously, went to high school together. Played backyard football with each other. Played. I want to say, probably. I want to say Daquan played rugby with us too. So, obviously know each other very well. Just never play each other in fantasy. So it's gonna be really interesting to see. At the beginning of the year, I was more excited about this game than I am now. I think Isaac should be able to win this game pretty easily. I'm not saying this can be like a 100-point game, but I could see it being like a 20, 30-point spread, possibly.
Yeah, right now the projections have it at 7, but Daquan got off to a really bad start. Only 16 points from Clinton Dix. So Isaac, you know, he should feel better looking at that. I know he wants to win to lock up that division, to lock up the bye. So yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I was more excited about this a few weeks ago, but they're kind of moving in opposite directions right now, and I think I'm kind of favoring Jordan more in that division, you know, kind of long term. So I think I'm going to go with Isaac in my pick here for this one. But
yeah.
So this next game kind of similar, not really any history between these two guys. Teams that had you know, kind of opposite seasons, kind of similar to Daquan and Isaac, I think. So who do we got here?
Yeah, we got Hunter, who's right now holds the longest win streak this year at 7 straight wins. Last time he lost a game, and he was 2-2. You know, like now he's 9-2. And you've got Mike, who's 5-6, just trying to get to 500 and possibly win the division. You know, but last year we were looking at both teams. Man, these are two great rookie owners. They've got a bright future. Well, we were dead right about Hunter. In fact, he was our rookie GM of the year last year. This year's look like we won't have a rookie GM of the year because of Bryson.
Then, I saw the voting. I was like, oh, poor guy. Like
I know, dude.
They were just like, no, he doesn't. No. I was like, man, that is awful.
And at first when I was making that poll, I was like, well, I'll just put Bryson in there, give him something. But I was like, but do we really want to water down this award just by saying, oh, if you're the only rookie owner, you deserve it? No, you should have to earn these awards, not just giving it by default. So I did put that option there. No, he shouldn't get the award. And nothing against Bryson, but I really think we were talking about it last week. I could see him having a turnaround season. He's got the first pick in the draft. Long as he doesn't keep Tom Brady, you know, he'll have that first pick, and he can do a number of things with it to help him turn around that season or this season.
If you listen to the Total Rebuild episode, hopefully he got some tips from that, and he can take that into next season. So
yeah,
but no, I agree. He's got a lot of potential.
So anyways, I think Hunter's probably going to end up winning that game. I think that'll put Mike at 5-7. Any thoughts there, Jameson?
It's a 25-point spread. Mike had a decent start with 30 points from DeMarcus Lawrence, which is awesome. But Hunter had 47 from Matt Ryan, 15 from Ingram, 43 from OBJ. I mean, so he had a lot of help there on Thursday to kind of put him ahead. So he's favored by a good bit. I think he wins that one and gets double-digit wins for the first time. So not too much there. Another game, unfortunately, not a lot of history here between Bryson and David. David fighting for a playoff spot. Bryson, you know, kind of the opposite direction. Bryson favored by 11 points. Is there anything that you can put in here?
Well, I mean, Bryson's on a 3-game losing streak. David's on a 3-game win streak. Like you said, one team's trying to stay alive. The other one, even if he wins this, still has the first overall pick in the draft. So really, Bryson's not playing for a lot here other than just to to get a second win and not be considered one of the worst teams in fantasy history in our league. But, I mean, with that said, Bryson's he's put a lot of effort in the year. Most teams at this time of year aren't even setting their lineup, aren't adding and drafting guys, but Bryson still is. Assuming he set his lineup. I don't know if he set it yet for this week, but we'll see. I think David's probably going to end up winning this. I really don't foresee Bryson able to pull out an upset here, unfortunately.
No, yeah, it'll be close. I think David's gonna win it, but yeah, they've always got decent futures though. Like we already talked about Bryson, I think he'll be good if he can kind of make some moves. Unfortunately, just not a lot to talk about in that game. They don't have a long history. Next game, probably not a lot of history between these guys either. They probably haven't played each other much. Mufali, one of the hottest teams in the league right now, against Tyler, the team we already talked about, completely just collapsed. Second half of the season like he tends to do. The 23-point projection in Mufali's favor. Tyler got off to a decent start, but Mufali also got off to a pretty good start yesterday with Roquan Smith. So, anything that you can add here with these guys?
Well, actually, there is a very short, brief history between both teams. I don't know if you remember, but in 2014, you, Tyler, Cody, and Mufali were all in the same division. So Mufali and Tyler played each other twice in 2014. But, that was Tyler's second year in the league, and that was Mufali's first year. They split. Week 2 of 2014, Mufali won 208 and 128. In week 11, Tyler ended up winning 153 to 132, which I believe was Tyler's one and only playoff season, which helped him punch that ticket in to get into the 2014 playoffs, even though he's one and done. So there is a short history here. We kind of knew it, though, like when we looked at the schedule, like by this point, Tyler's probably going to fade away, fall off, and and Mufali was still going to be good because his team was already built strong to begin with. I think Mufali should be able to win this one fairly easily. I would imagine by 30 points easily.
Yeah, and that's close to where the projection is. So that's what I'm, going to kind of look at as well and kind of agree with that. So, again, not too much to talk about here, unfortunately. But next we've got Charles and Peyton, 13-point spread in Peyton's favor. And I'm not sure there's much history here either unless they played each other last season.
Nope, never played each other. Not listen to Mufali. Charles, the third leg, 3-8, got his third win last week. When you look at the power rankings, I believe there are 7 games he could have won this year, 5 or 7, which is crazy to think. I mean, you're looking at a reverse record essentially, either an 8-3 season at this point, or a 9-3. I mean, sorry, listen to me. You get what I'm trying to say here. I mean, we're talking about a team that could have a first-round bye at the moment if he would have set his lineup correctly. So I do think Charles has drafted better this year. I think he made better free agency moves and so forth. It's just he needs to work on setting a better lineup week to week. His efficiency wasn't very good. Peyton, this is a team, man, who's nominated for Bust of the Year. I know I voted for him. He's a 5-6. He's on a 2-game winning streak, which is great. I mean, he can still make the playoffs and all that. But I think one of us had him projected at 10-2. Am I remember that right? At the highest?
Yeah, I was actually looking at that yesterday, I think, before I did the playoff projections. And he was 10-2 or 9-3. I mean, he has so many young players. I mean, Deshaun Watson, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Keenan Allen, OBJ. I mean, that's 5 offensive fantasy studs right there. And he couldn't piece together more than 5 or 6 wins. So it was really surprising to see. And we all had really, really high expectations, and he just didn't live up to them at all this season.
In our last non-conference game to conclude, rivalry week or Thanksgiving week, whatever you want to call week 12, whatever it is to you, Secure to Pound and Detroit Bad Boys. That's Kevin versus Billy. Billy's actually, from his first year in the league where he did awful, he's really turned things around. I consider him a legitimate fantasy owner now. He could finish the season 7-5 this week if if he can turn around. Thanks, 7-5 if he can win this weekend. Not David. Listen to me, Kevin. 3-8, 3-game losing streak. I know I voted for him for the toilet team of the year. He scored less than Bryson. I mean, he's got a better record, but man, that's just a lot if you're scoring less than Bryson. I don't see this going very well for Kevin. I still think Billy can win this game and win the division, and Punch is taking him for the third seed in the playoffs. What are your thoughts, Jameson?
No, yeah, I agree. Billy, he has a 98-point projection in his favor. They both had Matt Stafford, so that didn't hurt Billy at all. But Billy had 42 points from Zeke, 61 points from Amari Cooper, and then 51 points from Eli Apple in the Saints game last night. So Billy already has 175 and still has 5 players left. And Kevin's got 124. So he's already got a 51-point lead, and they both have 5 players left. So, I mean, Billy's he's really got a good spot here. And if he wins, clinches that division, and then Cameron and Peyton, destroys their hopes of getting the playoffs. So, no, I'm definitely going with Billy for this one for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that wraps up our head-to-head matchups. Real quickly, though, I just want to run through the voting and stuff that were for the awards. Do this really quick, just because almost everyone's voted this one. There's only 3 teams that haven't voted as of now. That's Abortion Clinic, Game of Jones, and Secure the Pound. But real quick, fantasy player MVP right now, Pat Mahomes has got the lead with 10 votes in favor of him. Darius Leonard has 5. Todd Gurley has 5. Tyreek Hill has 1. So looks like Pat Mahomes, I think that says a lot about how players value offensive players in our league versus defense. Pat Mahomes has killed it. I think he's probably, I voted for Darius Leonard. I mean, you could say there's bias involved in that, but it's a rookie linebacker who has exploded on the NFL scene. I think that says a lot more than a guy who sat behind Alex Smith for a year and has kind of just soaked it all in, has had a whole year to prepare for this moment. Todd Gurley, again, tied with Darius Leonard. Interesting, though, to see how that voting has gone, at least. Oh, and Tyreek Hill did have 1 vote, believe it or not, which was from Mike, who has him. But, I mean, dude, we laugh, but Tyreek Hill has killed it. He's been inconsistent at times, but for a receiver, he's number 15 overall, which says a lot. He's outscoring a lot of linebackers, a lot of running backs, a lot of quarterbacks even. So Tyreek Hill, I could see why you would vote for him, even if you don't have him on your team. I think Tyreek's had a good year. Turnaround team of the year, this vote's actually really close between Daquan, who went from worst to possibly first in his division, and then my dad, who has been 3 years since before he made the playoffs, or since the last time he made the playoffs, and now he's bouncing back and it's looking like he can make a repeat of the 2013 season. But Daquan is leading that 7-6, so there's literally 1 vote separating the 2 teams. The other 3 teams that you could have voted for, myself, which I actually didn't vote for myself. I ended up voting for my dad. 3 people voted for me. I was kind of surprised. Jordan has 3 votes, and then Isaac has 2 votes. And I think all 5 of these teams, really, we've all bounced back in some way or fashion. Either from the beginning of the year, Isaac started 0-3 to a team like Daquan, who's last in the division, or last in the conference, now possibly winning the division. So really interesting there. GM of the year. This is really interesting. Cameron got it last year, who ended up getting beat in the conference championship to Kyle. Now it's looking like Cody with 9 votes. Everyone else is tied with 4 votes. Daquan's got 4. Isaac's got 4. And you've also got yourself, Jameson, with 4 votes. I think that just kind of shows, we've been hyping up Cody all year. So I wonder if people listen to podcasts have kind of jumped on that hype train for GM of the year. But no, yeah, Cody has a firm lead in there.
Maybe I should have spent more time talking about my team so I could have gotten more votes there. But
That's right.
No, Cody had a great year. That's the second year in a row that he's gone off like that. So so that's cool to see him win it. And is it official? And when does voting end?
Rarely when everyone votes, but I think it's open until next Tuesday. So
okay, everybody. You said everybody but 3 teams.
Yeah.
You said? Okay.
So I'm sure they'll get their vote on Sunday when they set their lineup.
Oh, that's right.
Now, bus team of the year. This one's funny. It's actually a split tie between Peyton and Cameron, both 7 votes in favor of them. Colby has 3. Kyle has 4. Man, I'm surprised Cameron. I'm really surprised Cameron got 7. Part of me just wonders if like the reason people did it is because they just think it's funny Cameron getting winning bus team of the year.
I mean, he's still in playoff contention. I mean, I feel like Peyton's expectations were higher, and he has a less chance. You know, so I don't remember who I voted for, but it wasn't Cameron.
Yeah, you and I both voted for Peyton, I think. And I want to say maybe Isaac voted for Peyton too. So it's just kind of funny. But anyways, toilet team of the year, man. Right now, Bryson's got the lead with 11 votes, which is nuts.
Yeah, you guys all over Bryson. Jeez, man.
Poor Bryson, man. Kevin's got 6 votes. I voted for Kevin. I think you did too, Jameson. Like I said, he's 3-8, but man, he's last in points for. I think that says a lot. Charles has 2 votes. Michael has 2 votes. But no, it'll be interesting to kind of see how this ends up wrapping up. It looks like Michael voted for himself for Toilet Team of the Year. So.
Oh, man. Poor guy. Like, he went and gave it to himself. That's awful.
But he might be me, so hey, jokes on myself. Rookie GM of the year. Like we said earlier, Bryson has 4 votes, which is really cute and sweet that 4 people voted for him.
Yes, why you gotta say it like that? Really cute.
17 out of the 24 teams voted no. He shouldn't even get the award.
Oh my.
That's bad, man. That's bad.
Man.
But no, that's and then moving on, we're almost done with this. Bus draft pick of the year is actually pretty lopsided at 15 out of the 21 votes that have been put in so far in favor of Le'Veon Bell. No one's voted for Alex Collins, even though Mike got him in the first pick in the draft. His first round pick is pretty crazy. Steal of the draft.
The Le'Veon factor, dude. You keep a guy that high and then he doesn't even play.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like the reason why I didn't vote for Le'Veon Bell was because he was a bust. But in terms of what you're getting for next year, you're getting him dirt cheap for your last pick in the draft. I mean, that's pretty awesome, man, to say the least. Then the steal of the draft, it's 13 votes in favor of Pat Mahomes. Out of the 21 votes, Darius Leonard has 4. Jared Goff has 1 vote, which, man, Jared Goff, he was a great pick in the draft. James Conner has 3 votes, even though he was undrafted and the top shot is win the 15th round in our conference. I mean, man, everyone's on the Pat Mahomes hype train. It's crazy, man. I know he was claimed off the waiver wire, which is pretty crazy, but James Conner was also another good one. I really like the James Conner pick by both by Jade, and I forget who has him in the other conference, but that was definitely a steal. But then our last award, Rookie Player of the Year, Darius Leonard with 11 right now. Saquon Barkley with 7. Jesse Bates with 3. I'm surprised Jesse Bates even has 3, to be honest. But it's really been the Darius Leonard season for the rookies, at least. He's really killed it. And even if these 3 other votes come in, it looks like Darius Leonard has locked up that spot. But no, thanks again for voting, everyone. I know you kind of had to set your lineup. So. But no,
you were forced to.
Yeah. No, it was it's definitely been interesting. We'll kind of recap these next week too a little bit since some of these are still up in the air, some of these awards. But hey, it's been a great regular season. I know week 12's got a lot of implications for those of you watching. I know this is a longer episode than normal, but again, because we only had one episode this week, it did drag out a little bit longer than our traditional episodes go. But Jameson, man, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a great regular season. I'm excited to do some podcasts during the playoffs, and then of course into the off season. But good luck everybody in week 12 who's got something to play for. And with that, I'm signing off, Pat.
See ya.
All right, see you guys.